My dad is, of all things, a farmer. So I grew up on a farm, 18
No way.
years. My only job was literally working on the farm, like small town, 40 kids in my graduating class type of thing. Got out of school, went and picked up a door-to-door sales job, literally the worst job I don't like you could possibly imagine, as far as just like it was just a bad job. Like you're out in the sun and all that kind of stuff, and just literally cold calling. It was 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. every single day for 6 days a week for 4 to 5 months a year. And that's what I did, man, is I just got into that, and it was straight commission. And I had to move my family across the country with me. And it finally just got to, and I was making great money, by the way. Like I made one summer, 5 month summer, I made gross over 200K. And so, I mean, that's
Dang.
great money for that
Yeah.
type of a gig. But the thing that drove me nuts, which is why I'll lead into this, is how they did it is they paid you like the majority of your check in October, like right around the 15th, right? This company I was working for. And every time I got that check, it was awesome. But I remember every single time thinking, dude, I'm starting over. Tomorrow, my numbers, I'd go in my dashboard, zero, zero,
Right.
zero, zero, zero. And I'm like, if I want to make 200 grand, I'm like, oh, I went through all that work. I got to do all that again. So I'm like, whatever I do, if I'm going to put this much work into it, it's going to be my thing. And it's got to be something that has a recurring aspect, because that was awesome. Like I love the money. That was a lot of work to not get paid on it more than once.
Yeah, no, that's such a like key thing, because where I live, a lot of the people on the street here, they're all lawyers, doctors, things. Everyone on the street makes a lot of money where I live, but all of them are like almost everyone here is more a 9 to 5er, but they're high income. And that's the thing is, time is really the game, right? Like how do you compress your time? Because if you're working 80 to 100 hours a week making 200 grand a year versus someone who's doing that working 4 or 5 hours a month, like you can't compare those as apples to apples,
No,
right?
100%.
So you were, and I'm guessing you were grinding for this money, right? Like,
Oh, dude, it was yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was literally, when I say 2 o'clock, think of like we're in Arkansas. It's
yep.
sweaty, it's humid. 2 o'clock, you get dropped off, and then you get picked up at 9 p.m. You don't know who wants to buy this. You're going literally door to door and selling $50 to $100 contracts, 5-year contracts per month.
Yep.
And I mean, dude, it's terrible. Like,
yeah, I'm guessing the rejection is just absolutely insane as well.
oh yeah, I mean, like you if you get like a couple deals a day, you're top 1% of the company. You're making a couple hundred grand a year. So yeah, what got me into this is I went to one of my buddies who had done that industry. They went door to door selling alarm systems like I had, and he'd started his own business. I always knew I wanted to do my own thing. And so anyway, I just told him, I'm like, dude, I got to get out. Help me escape. Help me escape, man. I'm making 200K, and they call it the golden handcuffs, right? Like 200K, no education, and it's easy to get back and keep going. And so he's like, dude, go into the internet. And I'm like, I love the internet. I love the idea. So anyway, that's how I came across this. And the thing that appealed to me the most was I love the idea of real estate, right? I love the idea of recurring income. I love the idea of assets. I'd read the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books and the whole thing. And dude, it just made complete sense. Like own digital assets that pay you more than once. And I mean, it was easy. Like for me, it clicked. I'm like, that makes complete sense. So now how do I do it?
You came into this like it was your 9 to 5, right? Because when you came into this, you kind of like you treated it as a full-time gig. Like you didn't come into this as, hey, I'm going to part-time this a couple hours a week and gradually kind of
right
get out of the, what I mean? Like, which is totally fine. I mean, most people have, come into this, working a few hours a week. They have a day job, mortgage, kids. I know you have three kids. Three kids.
Yeah.
And they're all pretty young too, right? So,
yeah, under 8, all under 8.
Yep. And so like most people, they come in part-time, but you came in just like you, at least because you did make decent money, like 200K, you weren't like paycheck to paycheck when you quit.
Yeah,
right?
I had a little runway, yes.
Yeah. And so you came into this, hit it hard. So let's just get to the meat of kind of like the meat and potatoes of, if you want to share your screen here, because you basically made close to like 100 grand last month.
Yes.
Now I know half of it came from one insane client. So here's your Stripe account. So you can see from October 1st to 31st, $59,000, right? 59,877 came through. And then you can see on the right-hand side here, that's so crazy. I will say, for how long I've been doing this, I'm approaching 7 years of me doing this. I've never received a check for $45,000 from one client. So you beat me on that. That is insane. So I gotta know the story of that check. Like,
Yeah. So like what I did is I had another project that was producing leads, and it was one of those leads that came in and it was like my client couldn't take it. So I'm like, well, maybe instead of just like saying, hey, that's not a good lead, I just took the lead. I did a little Google search, found out someone paying ads, and I actually cold called out of the blue this company. And they're like, no, like I was like 3 levels below who I needed to talk to. So they're like, oh, here's an email address type of thing. And that never works, right? But I shot over an email, still a little pitch. I'm like, hey, I've got these leads, blah, 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 blah. And then that got escalated. It got escalated, and finally got a chance to pitch the CMO of this particular company. And dude, we started as a simple deal. We started as a deal that made me like $1,000 to $2,000 per month. And this is what it's grown into because we have just been crushing it for them.
It is just absolutely insane. And it makes sense. Honestly, what's kind of silly is in reality, most business owners should do this, because the truth is like, I look at, some of my clients, like, my websites, they're ranked, and I've had them for, going on, 5, 6 years, generating hundreds of calls a month. And the only intelligent thing to do is, if you're paying someone, like, I have a client that pays me $1,200 a month, and they've been paying me on auto bill for years, but I'm making them about 30 to 50 grand a month in revenue. So you would think the most intelligent thing you should do is say, okay, how do I pay, right? How do you pay me 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand a month? But I think, I know, like, the truth of the matter is, most people, if they were making 30 grand a month, they would just, relax and like spend time with their kids and travel and like not work. There's like very few people who are like us, right? That like are like pushing to these like super insane levels of business. But that is really cool to see. And it is like, just, are you cool saying the niche? to
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem doing that. The niche is basement waterproofing.
Yep. Which is actually one of the things that is crazy about that niche is it's all insurance money, right? So isn't it like,
Yeah, and
insane amounts of money? Because I actually had, when I was a kid, when I was like 7 years old, I was living in Wilmington, Delaware at the time, and I actually did have my basement flood. And I remember it was some insane amount of money. It was like $20,000 or something for them to
yeah, it's big jobs. And honestly, like, for anyone that's jumping in, like, this is a niche that I kind of like accidentally fell into. I wouldn't actually, if I could do it again, it's been a pain. Like, to get there hasn't just been like, oh, I just, like, it's been a real pain. I don't even know if I would, like, you look at the money and you're like, you're stupid. You would do it again. Of course I knew I would do it again if I knew this was going to happen. But the niche itself isn't a niche I would be like, yo, everyone should go into this, because it has been, it's very competitive. There's a lot, like, there's money in it, which means there's a lot of competition. So anyone that wants to try it, go, feel free. But I've made a lot easier money than this. And I actually I like this stuff over here, because this right here is a lot more clients, which means I'm brick by brick, and I don't mind losing a client here. This one right here, obviously they're my baby. So I got to spend a lot of time and make sure that doesn't cancel. But yeah, I wouldn't, it just kind of happened. And that's the beauty of this thing, right? Like, you go and you explore niches. I didn't even know what this was. Next thing you know, I know every single thing about basement waterproofing, right? And I'm making all this money, but like I said, it doesn't necessarily fit the bill of what I would recommend somebody that's just starting out doing, because of a lot of variables, if I could add that.
Yeah. Well, it's actually the reason why I've never, like, my biggest client pays me $4,000 a month, and that's an attorney. And the reason why I've kind of gone that direction was kind of what you said. The only fear, the only downside to having a $45,000 a month client is, if life happens, let's say that guy gets out of the business or whatever it is, like in life, like, what people don't realize is a business owner might quit with you for a totally arbitrary, just like, reason, right? Like, this is just real life, right?
Yeah.
I've had business owners actually just in doing this for as long as I have, approaching 7 years. I've had like a business owner of mine just actually pass away of old age, right? Like real, like just stuff that's out of my control. If you have something that stops a $45,000 a month check coming in, that's gonna hurt, right? That's gonna sting a little bit. But that's also a $45,000 a month check. And then, you're obviously in a different category where you have another $59,000 a month coming in. So it's not like, you're in St. George, Utah, and I know you live like well below your means. Like you drive a Tesla, which is cool, but like
Teslas, let's be honest, everyone thinks they're expensive. They're not.
no, that's what that's the thing that's so funny is like, I was driving, like I had an Audi. And when I was driving an Audi S4, people used to think it was expensive. It was like, no, this car is so cheap, like compared to, like how expensive it can get. And the cool thing about being self-employed that people don't tell you, that I learned, because I got into this when I was 20 years old. I made, $12,000 the first like 6 months. So obviously sites are ranking. It's kind of slow in the beginning. By the time I was 21, I made $250,000 net doing this. And I remember, that year I spent no money. I was renting a room for like $600 a month. I think I spent in just my personal life, like $15,000 or $20,000 for the year, making $250,000. And then, so I had to give well over $100,000 of it in taxes to the IRS, right? Because they're like, you have no write-offs, like there's nothing. And so the next year I was like, okay, let me go like get an Audi when I drive and do work, like at least I can write off the car as a tax write-off. If I eat out at restaurants, as long as I'm doing work related, I'm building a site at a cafe or something, I'll travel. I do fly first class, like as like a fun, that's kind of one of the few extravagant things to do. Yeah. Cause now I'm like, okay, I'd at least writing it off and having some tax-free, some tax write-offs. And then I do a SEP IRA every year where I, put $58,000 into a SEP and max that out, which is tax-free. But it's like for you, I'm guessing because how old were you when you kind of when you made six figures? When was how old were you when you made six figures doing the door-to-door knocking?
So the first year I did that, because after I graduated high school, I actually did a 2-year volunteer missionary service. And so I lived in West Africa for 2 years. So by the time I ever like started my career at all, I was 21. I got home, I was 21. And right off the bat, I got scooped up by these door-to-door guys. And so my first year, I grossed 83K, very first year doing it. And then since then I've made six figures. However, when I did do the jump from that, making a comfortable 150, 200K and jumped into this, I knew what was coming. And I was below that first year. It took me I had to grind. Like it took me some time. But the good thing is like, we have that financial thermostat, right? And so I'm comfortable at a certain spot, which I'm trying to continue to raise. But that 1 year, even though I knew it was coming, it wasn't long. And then boom, I was back up. And now obviously, and this is the cool part about this business model. This is like, that was like a one-time shot, right? This is recurring. That's a check I get every month. That isn't like, that was one time and
right.
I did a whole bunch of stuff. That is every month. I've had bigger checks than that from that client. And this over here, that's what I love about this is I dropped out of college. Like I'm from a town of 40 people. Like my shop teacher, dude, he would sneak off and smoke cigarettes in the greenhouse. Like that's the kind of education that I had. And growing up on a farm, and this is what can happen that quick because I just put hard work and the sales ability I had, and boom, like that's what's crazy about this. Like I have not found like I've searched. If I found a better business model on the internet, I'm not married to this business model, right? If I found a better one, I would be there, but I have not come across one. And as entrepreneurs, we're always looking to make a buck. Believe me, I've looked into other stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't know a better business model out there on the internet, period.
Yeah. Like it's interesting because a lot of people that come into, obviously my program and like, go through training and build this, they have looked at Amazon, like drop shipping, affiliate marketing, network marketing, all these different types of entrepreneurial businesses, kind of biz op things online. And I wish I could sit here and be like, oh yeah, those things, like, here's the reason why I didn't like them, right? Amazon is incredibly volatile. In my opinion of like, I've actually done drop shipping. And the thing I can't stand about drop shipping is you go buy some crap from China for $1 and you go sell it for $8. it's like, you're not actually adding value to anyone, right? It's like, I was at, I took some of my family and cousins to Disneyland the other day. You know how Disneyland's like every food item and things like $1 bajillion,
Oh,
right?
it's stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone feel good about like paying $10 for a bottle of water at Disneyland? Like, no, you don't. Right? And we're like, well, what we do every day, like I go to bed at night feeling really great because, like, honestly, as much as these numbers look insane, if you actually understood how much revenue you're sending the tree care guy or the roofer, it's like, it's probably like $1 million a month is what you're actually contributing to society in revenue, and you're getting a small piece of it back. Like usually it's anywhere from like 5 to 10% of what you're generating for other people is what you take home yourself. So it's kind of, it is kind of like I don't want to say charitable because obviously we're making lots of money.
Yeah.
I hate using the word charitable when we're both making top 1% income, but it at least is, it's a win-win, right? It's not like someone's a loser in the deal.
And one last thing is, I've even looked into other like ancillary lead generation models, like Facebook ads to landing page to the whole, like even that granular. Dude, I've bought programs, I've done the whole thing, and I've taken clients on and all that. Dude, but this right here, because of the fact that you rank it organically, at some point it becomes about as passive. There's no such thing as completely passive anything, right?
Agreed.
But it comes as passive as you can get. That's why I would argue this is the best business model on the internet, period.
Yeah. And it's all about, it's risk and reward, and the risk is virtually nothing. Like people forget, the one thing I can't stand about the internet marketing world is somehow like we forgot the reality. Like if this was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if you told anyone that you got into a business and spent less than $50,000, and if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on a bank loan where you literally lose the shirt on your, like off your back if you don't make it,
right?
Like everyone would laugh you out of the room. They're like, what do you mean? Like you're in for like fractions. Like it's so cheap, right? Website's like $50 a month. Obviously for coaching and experience, thousands of dollars. I just don't understand like that, how the internet marketing world has made it seem like you can build a business for like $5. It's like, no, it's going to cost a little bit of money, but it's nothing in the grand scheme of like, average website makes $600 a month. And that's, when you're brand new, like obviously you and I, we go for a little bigger cities, a little bigger markets. We also have salesmanship, right? Once you learn the value of these leads, you can charge more. I mean, you literally have a check there for $45,000 a month from a client. Let's just show a couple of your sites. I know this is kind of redundant because I show this for everyone, but just to show people like, I'll
jump into this one.
Cool.
So this one is a block wall. So this is talking cinder block walls, retaining walls, and like in Vegas, I live in St. George, very similar. You got palm trees, stucco houses, the whole thing. And so they make you put these ugly, if I was outside, I'd show you block walls. They're like these red, nasty brick, or they're block. And so some people might not even know what this niche is, because block wall, you're like, what is that? So yeah, man, we've been ranking for that for a ton of different terms, but I think I put this thing up, I don't know, maybe 18 months ago. I got a client, they've been paying me $1,000 a month for 18 months. And here's the site.
That's so awesome.
Here's the site. So very basic. Obviously, I would like to think our sites have come a long way from this, but the beautiful thing is, as ugly and as basic as it is, it's making $1,000 a month. So who's
laughing? Yeah, that's the thing that's so funny is like all my I have friends of mine who literally went to the good schools, went to Harvard, MIT, Stanford University. They're $200,000 in student loan debt. They think they're so brilliant because they got good grades and went to a good school, and they're so smart with tech, so they think. And they laugh at like how ugly my websites are, how simple they are, right? Because they're all drag and drop. There's no coding or anything. They're really simple to build. I built like half of my websites I built off like an iPhone or like iPad. I've even like used my laptop. And at the end of the day, I always kind of tell back to them, well, my website generates 200 calls a month, or 30 leads a month to the business owner. It actually makes the business owner money. So who cares? I'm making $1,000 a month on this ugly site. So who's the real genius, right? Like you who's sophisticated, or me who actually makes all the money. So it's the exact same thing. Like this site here, we'll kind of jump into the call system, and literally, 44 calls in 30 days. So, from October 1st to 31st, like that's pretty insane if you think about it. Like
Yeah, and
in
they're
Blackwell.
decent, these are decent sized jobs. Like, so I just did one at my house, right? And this is little teeny wall. I paid $1,000, and it literally goes around my my pool equipment, and it's like it's a half wall, and it's like stupid $1,000. So like, I know
And
some of these
that's
jobs,
cheap, by the way. I literally did work on my backyard, so all sorts of things, right? Got a jacuzzi in there, and then artificial grass.
yeah.
Just the wall was $10,000.
Oh,
Just
easy, dude. I was
in
gonna say like my
California.
back
Yeah.
wall would have been that. It's stupid. So
Yeah. So
these
it's
jobs,
insane.
like, just yeah, keep in mind. Let's say they convert 15% of these jobs, and they get one big job. There's so much money we're generating for these businesses.
Yep. And then let's look at one of the ones that I liked is you have another concrete site here. So
Yeah.
Bentonville Concrete, and right here, these sites, even though they're simple, everything has a purpose, right? Like I'm not writing this text here for my health, right? All of this is like for Google's sake to get ranked. But how long have you had? Do you remember how long you've had the site?
Yeah. So I built this one in like summer of 2019. The reason I know that is because at some point I switched over and I hired somebody to build sites. But this one specifically, I kind of like went back to the basics and just did everything textbook. And what do you know? Zoom to the top. I found a client, same exact client. It's been on, I think it's $900, I'm pretty sure, but I've had his credit card on file. I've been charging him weekly for the last, so we're is that over 2 years now? I mean, it's stupid, right? Like this probably took me a couple days to build, and I personally built it. I did not write the content, however, because one of my team did. And here you go. Like, how much money is that? Let's a lot. I don't know. I'm not gonna do the math, but 900 times 12, so 80. What is that? Anyway, it's like 20 grand, right?
$21,600.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I might have like it's anyway. The overhead's so cheap. These are the projects that get me so excited, because you only need a couple of these to like change your life, like get out of your current situation, or like, I don't know, whatever you want to do. If you're a car guy, then dude, that right there pays any car you want on a lease, if that's what you're into. Like,
yeah, in a weird way, like it's interesting because I have people join the program who are like kind of in your situation, the golden handcuffs. They're doctors. I have a lot of doctors, lawyers, neurosurgeons, people who like make multiple six figures already. And then I also obviously have a lot of people, like when I got in, right? Like I didn't have a whole lot of like, I needed like $2,000 a month, and I thought everything was covered in my life when I got into this. I didn't have a lot of expenses or bills. So in a weird way though, in my opinion, like that, it's almost kind of nice if you're in that situation. Like we talk about all these crazy dollar amounts, but like if you only need like $5,000 or $6,000 a month to cover your bills, like when you think about that, it's like 6 websites, 7 clients, like it's not that much.
ridiculous.
This is not like, you know what I mean? This is not like drop shipping on Amazon where you have to go sell 6,000, widgets a month to make, your $10 on each one to make money. In this space, it's like, you just need a few of these. And yeah, $1,000 a month is, a lot. Like that's definitely that's more than almost any car payment that, right?
Yeah, what car are you, if you're looking for a car outside of that, you got your priorities mixed up, dude.
Yeah, either you got your priorities mixed up, or you have so much income that you shouldn't even care about like this question, right? Like and then you have like, I think the biggest thing, and like everyone gets it. I've shown at this point so many examples of sites that either I've done myself or students have done. But I guess, for everyone looking on the outside in, who maybe they're either skeptical, or I think the biggest one for a lot of people is, I know the biggest one, and maybe you could talk on this, is so many people are afraid because they are bad at sales, or they're not like salespeople,
right?
That, oh, how can I do this? And not understanding that I always teach to give free leads, free value in advance, literally make a business owner money first. So like how from you actually having to do traditional sales, like knocking on doors, to what we do, which is we give value and literally make a business owner money for free and then ask them to pay you a small part of that back as a flat fee every month. Like how different is it closing these business owners compared to the door to door?
Like, so when I did door-to-door sales, I did it like, I mean, I say 5 months, but then as you start to build a team, you're doing it in the off season, all this stuff. So let's just say like at least 7, 8 months a year, every day of the week, besides Sunday. I never had a day where I felt like comfortable doing it. After 4 years, I still felt like, I remember in the beginning, I would get diarrhea. It was that bad.
Wow.
Like it was like, I would just be sick. I mean, think about it. You're going and knocking on someone's door and asking them for money. It's scary. And you get in these rich neighborhoods and all this stuff and your confidence and you're like, oh dude, I'm just a kid. And I have done this now for a couple of years. And to this day, I do not like there's no nerves, because the way I look at it is I'm calling somebody up and I'm giving them a free job. And if that person chooses to be rude or cut me off, whatever, that's their loss. But it is like, it's night and day difference. You're calling, you're giving a free job. Oh, by the way, we're looking to find a partner. That is the easiest conversation ever. And so, yeah, and by the way, I don't sell. It's been, oh man, it's probably been a year since I did anything besides find a city or in an area, give them a couple free leads, and then talk. We don't even have the conversation. I don't pitch anybody without doing that first. And anyway, you don't have to be a good like I would say that if you're a good salesperson, yes, it's going to help you. Of course, I'm not going to dispute that. Right. However, you don't have to have sales experience to be successful at this, because you're literally just at some point when they've made money from what you're sending them, you're talking on a logical level, not an emotional level. And to be like a salesperson is hitting those emotions and all this different stuff. But literally you're getting on the phone. It's like, yo, you made this much and I'm asking for this much. And if you close at this, then you're going to triple your money. If you say no, you are an idiot. You don't say that, but
agreed. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's so hard for me to explain. Like the simple version of this would be like, if I said, hey, Nick, I have a check for you for $10,000, but I need you to give me $1,000 back. Like you would actually have to be a moron outside of the trust, right? You might be like, I don't get why he's doing this, but like, if you knew that, like, which is all checks out, which is what we do, right? We prove the leads in advance, everything. You would actually have to be stupid. But I don't say that. I'm really nice, but I
say that stuff sometimes. I don't care anymore, but yeah, no, it's seriously.
I love that. And the cool thing too is like at this point, I notice that students kind of fall into two camps. Like you're obviously the extroverted, more sales business type person.
No, dude. By the way, this isn't important, but I'm not like by nature, I'm not like a weird, shy. Like if my wife goes out of town, I don't have friends come over. I'm not that kind of guy. Like I'm talking business, yes, but I'm actually, for those introverts that are listening to this, be like, oh, I couldn't be like that guy. Dude, I'm a weirdo. Like I love being alone. I love being by myself.
Oh, the people wouldn't believe me if I said that, but like today, well, actually, here's the proof. Today is Halloween. Let me tell you what I'm doing tonight. I'm sleeping. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm filming videos. Like that's why I'm filming case study videos all day today with students. Cause I'm like, hey, if you're on right now, like that's who I want to show. Cause to me, my favorite times, a lot of times to do stuff is weekends, nights when everyone else is doing their life. Cause I hate traffic. So anytime I go to a restaurant, I always like to go at weird times. When everyone's at work is when I thrive. And do my social life. Cause I'm like, I hate crowds of people. Like, so I'm a lot the same way. But more importantly than all of this is like, if you are really that scared of the sales side, or like, for example, obviously we have some students who we have, 30% of the students are international. So some people, English is their second language. There's people like you or someone else in the group. I've even done it myself where I'll close the deal for a student and I'll just say, hey, I close you $1,000 a month, client, pay me $250 a month. So give me 25% of that, and then you can keep the 75%. And so there's always people who will do it for you.
100%.
What's the lastly, I don't want to keep you on too long. I know it's
Oh, you're
late.
good, man. I'm introverted, bro. I'm gonna go watch Shutter Island that I fell asleep on last night. I'm freaking boring, dude. I was planning before this. I'm not that
Shutter
exciting.
Island.
Drinking my freaking kombucha, so we're good.
Oh my God. All you need is just those hipster glasses, like those blue blocking light glasses.
Oh
And then,
yeah, then
yeah,
I'd be set, right?
yeah, you're just fully in business. Yeah, I was gonna say like the last thing I want to talk about is the value of the Facebook group. Like how useful has it been? Or just like, I guess I think one thing sometimes people don't realize is like how accessible I am.
In and of itself, like once you go through the training's dope, and you're gonna want. I would recommend you go through any training you buy. You should be going through that once a year. You invested money. You're stupid not to, right? And it works. But outside of that, like I'm in any programs I've ever bought, I'm way more in the groups. And yeah, absolutely, dude. Uh, you, I would dare say what, at least probably 80, 90% of any question. And that maybe not isn't realistic forever, but you're literally answering or commenting on probably that high. And this isn't like 5 people. Like
Right.
this is a nice sized group.
I want people to own stuff, right? Like all I do all day is teach people to be entrepreneurs, own their assets. So for me, I'm like, hey, you get into my coaching, obviously, like I have only so much bandwidth as everyone does. So there's obviously a fee to come into the program. But I just want them to say, once you're in the program, you're in.
Yeah.
But trust me, people are always confused. Like all my students, like you, like everyone's always confused. Like, I don't get it. Why do you do live calls multiple times a week? Why do you update training? But to me, it's like I just think that's what a coach is supposed to do. Like, I think I do this all day. So it doesn't really take me that much more work. If I'm filming like this, us talking, we talk anyway, so
Oh,
I'm just recording this. And
right.
obviously we're guiding it a little bit because, I'm trying to show people on the outside looking in, kind of people who've done it. But like, I think that's the funniest part is like our personal lives are very similar. Like this is just who we are. Like this is what we do, and it's just very integrated. Like this is not work to me, right?
Oh.
This is just I would go insane. I've done the travel the world thing. I took a year off. I've traveled to 35 countries in the year. Oh my God. I've never been more bored in my life of like not having stuff to do. So I like to work. I always tell people the best setup you can have in life is you have work, you have a purpose, a mission, something you're doing, but knowing in the back of your head, you don't have to do it. Like knowing financially, you don't have to do anything. So that's kind of how I set my life up. Like I like to do stuff, keep myself busy. And I know you're the same way. I know there's better things to do at 9:30 at night on a Sunday on Halloween. I've been told to do a coaching program for God, 6 years since I've been doing this. I only did it this year because I finally feel like I have the energy and like I feel like I am now like old enough and experienced enough where it's worth listening to me teach. But I because I did it for 6 years, I think there's a lot of people on the internet who like have never done anything and then they just go rent a Lamborghini in a mansion for a day and then they go become gurus. And I can't stand it. I can't stand the 20-year-old life coaches on the internet. I can't stand the people who are like, you can press 3 keys on a keyboard and it's easy and there's no stress. Like, no, this is real life. Like, you're not going to learn. I love how people go to college for 4 years, but then they think in the internet world, you're going to master something in 2 days. Like, no, it took you and me like probably a couple months to feel competent at this, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's still months. I'm not saying years, but it's still some time. But I appreciate you being on. And man, it's kind of crazy to think like, I always think about, because how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
30.
Yeah, you're 30. It's going to be so weird when like 10 years from now. So when I'm 36, you're like, I always think about that. Like, how big is this? Like, how big can I do it? Do you ever think about that? Like how, and yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm the same way. And that's the cool part about this business is it's like you hit that first milestone and everyone gets in like, I want to get 10K. We want to get 10K. And then it's like, I mean, not to use a drug analogy, but it's like, then you want the next hit, right? Like, okay, well,
Oh yeah.
get 20. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, let's do 100. And now that's what I'm looking at. Like I'm planning, I'm looking at 2022. I'm like, why on earth couldn't we get to 200K a month in this year, like, and continue to compress that time down? And so the sky's the limit, right?
That's such a big advantage of this is that, yeah, it's kind of slower to build. Like you're not going to go join this today and in 30 days from now get to, 20K a month or something. But the benefit of the business is it's really stable, which checked a lot. Like for me, that was the key, because it's not about, there's a couple of things you learn about money. One, it's not about how much you make, it's how much you keep. Profit margins in this business are insane.
Yeah.
The expenses are very little, you keep a lot of it. The second thing is it's also about long term, because yeah, if you told two people, hey, you can either get $100,000 check right now, or you can get 5K a month for the rest of your life, you're an idiot not to take the 5K a month for the rest of your life. You're actually an idiot. That's way more than $100,000. So to me, that's always what I'm gunning for. Like everything, I like the fact that what I do today, I always think about it. Every decision I make, I always think about what is that going to do for me a year from now. That's always how my brain works. And it's served me well, and I know kind of all the sites I'm building now, all the new projects I'm doing now, I'll probably be at like 200 clients by next year. So like 200 different business owners I'm working with. And so when you think about it that way, it's like really exciting.
Can I share one last thought? Is I was just thinking, like, I have other friends that are in this business, right? And we're all of us are in different situations. So the one thing that I just wanted to mention is, no matter what, even if your goal isn't to make $100,000 a month, that's the beauty of it, right? You can take it, you can build $1 million company, right? You could also take it, make $3,000 a month and quit your job if you're in college. You could also make $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month and go, like, if you are that travel person. That's the other thing that I love about it, is like there is no person that I've ever met that this business model couldn't form to what they want to do.
I feel like it's a magic trick. Like I feel like this is like magic, and I'm a wizard and I need to learn all the spells I can, because if I'm blessed with this ability to create magic, I should do as much of it as possible. Right. And that's kind of what I feel. I feel like I'm like a wizard, and all these business owners they're just the beneficiaries of my lead magic. Right. But it's cool talking to you. I'll talk to you later.
Happy Halloween, man. See ya.
I appreciate it.